The Galactic Council had made their decision 3 centuries ago. Humanity was too dangerous to exist. Eleanor stood on the observation deck of the Remembrance, her fingers pressed against the cold, transparent steel as she watched the assembled armada gather in the void. 12,000 warships, each one a testament to human ingenuity and desperation, hung in formation like predators waiting to strike. The dim light of distant stars reflected off their hulls, creating a tapestry of metal and purpose that stretched across the darkness. "They're still broadcasting their surrender demands," Jasper said, approaching from behind. His reflection appeared in the viewport beside hers, his jaw set in that familiar expression of quiet determination. "The Vraxian Imperium thinks we'll back down." Eleanor's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. They always do. The galaxy had learned about humanity the hard way. When the Vraxians had first encountered humans expanding beyond their solar system, they'd seen primitives, a species barely capable of faster-than-light travel, wielding kinetic weapons while the rest of the galaxy had moved on to plasma and antimatter. The Vraxians had attacked without warning, glassing 3 colonies in a single afternoon. 2 million souls extinguished before humanity even knew they were at war. But the galaxy had made a mistake. They'd left Earth intact. "Status report," Eleanor commanded, turning from the viewport. The bridge of the Remembrance hummed with controlled activity, officers moving between stations with practiced efficiency. 300 years of preparation had led to this moment. "All battle groups report ready, Admiral," her tactical officer responded. "The quantum disruption mines are in position. When we activate them, the Vraxian fleet won't be able to jump to hyperspace for 72 hours. "And the Kelthera?" Jasper asked, referring to humanity's only allies in this conflict. Eleanor nodded to her communications officer, who spoke up immediately. "The Kelthera 4th Fleet has arrived at the rendezvous point. Admiral Thelmora sends her regards and says, 'Today humanity collects what it's owed.'" The Kelthera. Of all the species in the galaxy, only they had stood beside humanity when the Vraxian Imperium declared humans to be a threat to galactic peace. Only they had provided sanctuary when humanity's refugee ships fled burning worlds. Only they had mourned with humans when the death tolls were counted. Humanity remembered its debts. Both kinds. "Begin the operation," Eleanor ordered. The Remembrance shuddered as its massive engines fired, pushing the dreadnought forward. Around it, the human armada moved as one. A synchronized display of military precision that would have seemed impossible for such a young species. But humanity had learned quickly. They'd had to. Jasper moved to the tactical display, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "The Vraxians have 17,000 ships in this sector. They outnumber us, but their formations are lazy. They're not expecting real resistance." "They're about to get it," Eleanor replied. The first volley took the Vraxians completely by surprise. Human railguns, firing projectiles at relativistic speeds, tore through the shields of the enemy vanguard before they could properly raise their defenses. While the galaxy had dismissed kinetic weapons as primitive, humanity had perfected them. A slug of depleted uranium traveling at 70% the speed of light didn't care about energy shields designed to deflect plasma. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," the tactical officer reported. "They're attempting to engage their hyperdrives." "Activate the quantum mines," Eleanor commanded. Space itself seemed to shudder as the mines detonated. Invisible waves of quantum interference rippled through the sector, collapsing the higher dimensional pathways the Vraxians needed for faster-than-light travel. Suddenly, the Vraxian advantage in numbers meant nothing. They were trapped, and humanity had planned for exactly this. "All ships execute Pattern Omega," Jasper transmitted across the fleet channel. What followed was a masterclass in human warfare. While other species had grown comfortable with set-piece battles and honor codes, humanity had never forgotten the lessons of their own bloody history. They fought dirty. They fought smart. They fought to win. Human ships broke into smaller squadrons, executing hit-and-run attacks that left the Vraxian fleet in chaos. Missile barrages launched from unexpected vectors. Electronic warfare suites that humanity had spent centuries developing turned Vraxian sensors into liability, feeding false data and phantom contacts. The humans didn't fight fair, they fought effectively. "The Kelthera fleet is engaging their eastern flank," communications reported. "They're pressing hard." Eleanor watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded. The Kelthera fought with the desperation of a species that knew what it meant to stand against the Vraxian Imperium. They'd been humanity's shelter when Earth had nowhere else to turn. Now humanity would ensure they never regretted that kindness. Vraxian flagship is attempting to retreat, Jasper noted. Target it, Eleanor said coldly. Let the Imperium know what happens when you attack the defenseless. The Remembrance brought its spinal mount to bear, a massive magnetic accelerator cannon that ran the entire length of the ship. The weapon charged, drawing power from the Dreadnought's fusion reactors until it glowed with barely contained energy. Then it fired. The projectile crossed the distance in seconds, moving too fast for point defense to intercept. It struck the Vraxian flagship amidships, and for a brief moment the enemy vessel held together. Then it simply came apart, torn into fragments by the sheer kinetic energy of the impact. The message was clear. Humanity had come to collect its debt, and the payment would be extracted in full. As the battle raged around them, Eleanor thought back to those early days after the first attacks. She remembered the fear, the desperation, the feeling of helplessness as colony after colony fell silent. She remembered the Kelthera ships arriving at Earth, offering sanctuary when the rest of the galaxy stood aside. And she remembered the promise humanity had made. They would never forget. Not the cruelty of their enemies and not the kindness of their friends. Admiral, the Vraxian fleet is requesting parley, communications announced. Eleanor considered for a long moment. 300 years of preparation, 300 years of remembering their dead, 300 years of humans telling themselves never again. Denied, she said simply. When the battle finally ended, 12 hours later, the Vraxian Imperium had lost 90% of its fleet in the sector. Human casualties were minimal in comparison. The quantum mines dissipated, and as news of the battle spread across faster-than-light communication networks, the galaxy finally understood. Humanity didn't forgive. Humanity didn't forget. And humanity always paid its debts, both kinds.